Warfare on the square hasn't always been limited to the many continents and islands that the Polytopians live on, but also happens on the oceans that connect them all. And if you want to invade someone over there, you'll need some ships. So, let's talk about what the Polytopians use on the regular. Any naval story begins with ports. A port is a combination of local maritime trade hub and a diligent shipwright, able to both handle the input and output of goods, as well as construct ships for the groups that need them. Unlike shipwrights on Earth, the Polytopians have taken a rather peculiar approach to building a navy, by designing their larger ship types to be retrofitted from smaller ships. A mighty bomber begins as a humble raft, as both raft and bomber are designed with this process in mind. They claim it's to help keep costs down and promote naval flexibility, as a raft can be turned into whatever is needed at the time. Speaking of rafts, let's talk about these small and simple sea crafts. Rafts are little more than a few logs held together with rope and waterproof resin, and are moved by a single sail. They're extremely cheap for shipwrights to make with the supplies on hand, so military commanders don't need to spend extra to get a fleet of them. No clue why'd you want a fleet of rafts in the first place. Large enough rafts can transport a group of troops, but little more than that. Lastly, rafts, and the ships built out of them, are designed to be easily dismantled so that the units which make landfall can use their wood for camps, firewood, defenses, and so forth. But that means they'll need to find a new port to get a new raft. Scouts might seem unassuming, but they're the cavalry of the average Polytopian navy. They're nimble in the water, are designed with a crow's nest for spotting land or nearby enemies, and excel at assaulting bombers, which are far too slow to keep up with a raiding group of scouts. How do scouts assault the aforementioned bombers? Scout crews have a small ballista that they use for taking down larger targets by puncturing their hulls, and these are put away when not in use. Scouts are absolutely fantastic at what they're designed to do. Be cheap raiding craft with excellent reconnaissance abilities. Second in line to be discussed is the rammer, a bulky fortified ship that is designed to, well, ram into enemy ships. These melee ships use a combination of oars and internal pedal-powered water wheels to build up enough speed to do considerable damage, while also being maneuverable enough to adjust their trajectory on the fly. Rammers fill a role that scouts do not, being tanky and able to take a few shots before going down. Good all-rounders that can pack a punch if able to catch up to their prey, and they're great for establishing a beachhead in enemy terrain. The largest ships in the Polytopian fleet are bombers. These behemoths are designed around their side-mounted guns, which use the power of gunpowder to hurl explosive ordnance to distant shores, inevitably ruining someone's day. Wait, the Polytopians have gunpowder? You might be asking yourself, and the answer is yes. But it's very new. Polytopian metallurgical skill hasn't quite figured out how to miniaturize this new technology. So they make these ginormous bombards and mount them to aquatic platforms. That's really the only way they can make these large guns maneuverable to be useful. Ironically, maneuverability is the weakness of bombers, as despite being able to propel metallic death way over there, they are unable to attack enemies that are near them. Scouts and rammers literally run circles around them, and since bombers can't aim their guns fast enough, they're practically sitting ducks. Keep your bombers away from the enemy and watch them work their magic. Sadly, none of these ships are large enough for any giants, So Polytopians designed a brand new watercraft just for them. The Juggernaut. If a giant is large and heavy, why not put those attributes to good use? Juggernauts are pedal-powered vehicles that allow giants to create large waves near enemy ships, potentially sending the crews overboard, or causing the ships to capsize. Of course, the giant inside still needs to get into position to be able to do this, or attack from the craft. They don't turn very fast, so they have difficulty responding to enemy strikes. As long as the rest of the Navy can defend the Juggernaut, it's bound to make waves. Let's now pivot to two rather overlooked boats that you can find fielded by Polytopians. The Dinghy and the Pirate. While they're a secret, it's no secret that cloaks need to be flexible, able to traverse both land and water quickly. They need something that's unassuming, but speedy. And that's where dinghies come in. Disguised like average fishing boats, a dinghy is the perfect way for a cloak to get around undetected, able to blend into a crowd of other boats without drawing suspicion. When a cloak makes landfall or enters a city, they'll discard or destroy the boat as a way to cover their tracks. So, they'll need to find a port to get a new one. Pirates are rebellious daggers given away to cross water. Well, they're not really pirates, per se, but the term just sort of stuck, as daggers are still able to operate with their standard guerrilla tactics to harass enemy ships. Most pirate ships are fishing boats retrofitted with some extra gear, as that's generally what the dissidents had on hand. Cloaks aren't out there building a full navy for their recruits, but encouraging the people to use what they know, and that includes modified civilian craft. Still, regardless of origin, these small boats are more than able to do the job thanks to some creativity and tactical skill. And that's the story of how Polytopians fight their many squabbles on the water. Boats of all sizes, each with its place in the standard Polytopian navy. Remember, may your water be clear, your crew happy, and your fleet as robust as it can be.